Juan Soto makes his return to the Bronx for the first time since Game 5 of the 2024 World Series when he wore the New York Yankees pinstripes, but this time he comes in as a visitor. The Mets and Yankees are set to play the first game of their Subway Series tonight. They'll play a 3-game set here. They play 3 games in Citi Field later in the year. This is going to be an electric atmosphere, a weekend series, some nationally televised games. A huge crowd is expected in the Bronx, so I expect a lively and loud atmosphere and a loud stadium. We're going to be talking about the series, previewing the series, looking at the Mets as an opponent, and breaking down what they do well. And we're also going to be doing kind of a fun thought experiment. We're going to be putting together a combined Yankees-Mets roster inspired by what Andy Martino does in SNY, although I won't be following the same rules that he tends to with his. All of that and more right here on Fireside Yankees. Hello everyone, I'm your host Ryan Garcia. This is Fireside Yankees. If you enjoy this podcast and what we do, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn the notification bell for all of your favorite Yankees content. We've got tons of stuff over here, shorts, posts, videos, podcasts, all of that and more. We're your one-stop shop for Yankees content. And I also want to mention that we want to thank you guys for helping us reach 100,000 followers on the Instagram. It's a huge milestone for us, and from everyone at the company, we want to send our thanks and appreciation. Thank you again for tuning in and for checking out all of our social media pages. Links to everything in the description. And yeah, let's get started previewing this series, as tonight in Game 1, you'll have Tylor Megill versus Carlos Rodon. Tylor Megill, drafted by the New York Mets back in 2018, is having a breakout year in 2025. He has a 3.10 ERA, a 2.97 FIP, and a 3.30 expected FIP. Now, Tylor Megill has been mostly a 5-and-dive pitcher. He's not someone who's going to pitch deep into games or has pitched deep into games, but in the roughly 5 innings of work you're going to get from Megill, he is highly effective. He gets a lot of strikeouts. He does walk some guys, but his ability to just pick up whiffs and rack up swings and misses is really impressive. He's got a very diverse pitch mix. He has a 4-seam fastball, a sinker, a slider, a curveball, kind of a split change. It's a very, very funky pitch, but it's a very effective one when used properly against left-handed batters. Lefties have more strikeouts, but they also have a higher OPS against Megill this season. And again, I do want to note, he does not pitch deep into games, and that might be something that the Yankees can use to their advantage, that if they can work the pitch count, if they can get Megill to put guys on, that they can put themselves in a situation where the Mets will pull Megill, and then they can get to the bullpen. Granted, the Met bullpen is not, it's not the best bullpen in baseball, but it's definitely full of talent, so it's not a bullpen that you're licking your chops to face. But I would say that if you can shorten their starters' outings, if you can keep them to that 5-inning roll that they're in, and then get to the bullpen, in the course of a 3-game series, you will have a game where their bullpen's going to be off, or you can burn out that bullpen, and there isn't really anyone in this series who puts the pressure on that they're going to pitch 7-8 innings. Senga's kind of that guy for them, but he's not going in this series. So for 3 straight days, if the Yankee offense does its job and works at bats and has quality at bats and gets good swings off against Megill and the other starters we'll talk about, the Yankees should be able to knock these guys out somewhat early, even if they pitch effectively, like get them out by the 5th inning, get them out before the 6th inning, and then put pressure on the Mets bullpen to get 4 innings in 3 straight games without surrendering runs. So for the Yankee offense, attacking early, getting these guys out before the 6th inning starts, that's going to be really important. Megill is extremely effective first time through. Second time through, he's still effective, but the walks start to come around a little bit. One thing that Megill does super well that does concern me if you're the Yankees is he has not allowed the home run ball. He has a 0.66 home runs per 9 this year. His ability to limit damage contact has been brilliant. He gets a lot of called strikes. Batters just tend not to feel comfortable in their at-bats against Megill. They don't swing often, so the Yankees are going to be put in a little bit of a tough situation where they're facing a pitcher who knows how to sequence, who has above average stuff, and has good velocity too. So this is not an easy matchup, but again, if the Yankees can find a way to get Megill out of the game before the 6th inning comes around, they can start putting pressure on that bullpen, that being the Mets bullpen, to be better and be effective and be sharp, and more importantly, to have the Mets and have Carlos Mendoza bring in guys he may not love to bring in into high leverage situations. You want to force a Jose Butto in a high leverage situation where he hasn't been completely comfortable this season. You want to force Max Kranick into a high leverage situation. He's someone who, isn't a dominant reliever and does allow a decent amount of contact. You want Genesis Cabrera, Dendiel Nunez, who's coming back from the injury stint. You want these guys in the game. You want Carlos Mendoza to have to go to them because his formula is Brazuban, Garrett, Stanek, Diaz. And you can't just rely on 4 guys 3 days straight to cover 4 innings for you. So if the Yankees, again, can find a way to get to that bullpen early and often, it puts Mendoza in a tough spot. Now, Carlos Rodon, who's pitching tonight, has a tough challenge because the New York Mets offense is one of the best offenses in baseball against left-handed pitching. They have no shortage of quality right-handed bats with Pete Alonso, Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, who can all hit left-handed pitching. Starling Marte has been very effective against left-handed pitching throughout his career. Luis Torrens can come and get a start here and be effective against left-handed pitching. He has had success against southpaws in his career as well. And Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, who are not right-handed hitters, Lindor's a switch hitter, and Soto's a left-handed hitter, both are extremely effective against left-handed pitching. So they do not present an easy challenge for Carlos Rodon. He will have to be on his A game, and he's going to have to find a way to try to avoid the home run ball because the Mets can hit home runs with the best of them. They've got a ton of guys who are threats to go yard at any point in time. They don't strike out a lot. They do a lot of damage on contact. This is a team that is going to be very, very tough to pitch to. I expect the Mets to put up runs in this series. I expect the Mets to show up offensively. It's going to be up to the Yankee pitching staff to limit them a little bit because, again, versus left-handed pitching, I know Lindor struggled a little bit this year, but in his career, he has a 126 WRC plus and a 489 slugging percentage. So he is someone who is a threat from that side of the plate. Again, Soto, a threat against lefties. We saw it with the Yankees. He could kill lefties. He was one of the Yankees' best hitters against lefties last year. Yeah, and Pete Alonso's been absolutely remarkable for the Mets this year. He is a massive, massive, massive threat for a left-handed pitcher like Carlos Rodon. He's going to have to mix in some changeups. He's going to have to mix in the slider, get the curveball in there, vary his looks, maybe throw in some more sinkers, whatever it may be. He's got to find a way to keep this Met offense at bay despite their numbers against left-handed pitching. In Game 2, Griffin Canning will face Clark Schmidt, and Clark Schmidt's not going to have an easier time just because he's a right-handed hitter. The Mets still have a high OPS against right-handed pitching. They are just also dominant against lefties relative to the rest of the league. Schmidt will have his work cut out for him. He'll have to face tough lefties. Lindor from the left-handed side, who has been incredible from the left-handed side this year and has bedeviled the Yankees in his time as a Met. Soto, obviously, nothing else has to be said. Nimmo, McNeil, Beatty has come alive as of late. He's got tons of pop. So the Mets can mash, and that's kind of the thing that scares you here. They can do it from both sides of the plate. They've got tons of guys who can do damage. You have tons of guys who can take the ball at the yard. And even the right-handed hitters. I mean, you cannot sleep on Pete Alonso even in a right-handed matchup. If you leave a sweeper over the plate, if you leave a sinker in his wheelhouse, he's going to take it out of the zone. Alonso, another player who has had some home runs against the Yankees in his career. So I do expect for someone like Schmidt to have, again, his work cut out for him. But for Griffin Canning this year, he has a 2.36 ERA and a 3.48 FIP. Across 42 innings, he's made 8 starts. He's struck out 42 batters, walked 16, allowed 4 home runs. He's going to keep the ball on the ground. He does not let batters lift the ball against him. His stuff isn't overpowering, but he's got a really, really good slider and a really good changeup to go with it. He mixes in the slider well. He mixes in his four-seam well. He mixes in the changeup well. He's mostly a 3-pitch pitcher. He'll mix in some curveballs. He'll mix in some cutters. He'll throw a sinker occasionally. But for the most part, it's four-seam, slider, changeup. And Canning has really, really, really good, just a great ability to spin the ball. The Mets have unlocked something with Canning that he just did not have with the Angels. And he's another guy, though, who will not pitch deep into games. And the Mets probably don't trust him to do that either. I think the Mets like him in this 5-and-dive role, get me 5 strong, then your night is done. And the numbers suggest that if you want to get to Canning, that third time through the order is the time to do it. Batters have a 441 weighted on base average against Canning this season, third time through. They have a 333, 400, 630 slash line. So, again, this is an outing where if the Yankees play their cards right, they should be able to get Canning out of the game by the 5th inning or crack Canning in the 6th inning. So, if you're the Yankees, again, you have to put pressure on the Met bullpen because if McGill is out in 5 innings and then they have to throw Diaz, Garrett, Brazoban, and they have to throw another one of their high leverage guys, then they're in a spot where, they have to go to those 4 guys again, knowing that Canning is probably not going to be able to go 4. Or they're going to have to mix it up a little bit. Throw in a Genesis Cabrera. Throw in a Dendiel Nunez. Throw in a Max Kranick. Guys who are a little more hittable and guys that the Yankees can do some damage against and put together a big inning. And if the Yankees have a lead in any of these games, it will put more pressure on Mendoza to not go with his A bullpen and try and hold the lead there if the game feels out of hand, or if the Yankees have a commanding lead. Even a 3-run lead by like the 6th inning would maybe put Mendoza in, let me save my bullpen for the next day, let me live to fight another day. The Yankees have the distinct advantage of an off day on Monday. The Mets do not. They've got to go to Boston to play the Red Sox, so they're not in a position where they can sit back and say, I'll burn my bullpen Sunday because I don't have a game Monday. The Yankees are in that position. So again, when it comes to bullpen usage, you have to get these starters out early. You have to. If you get these starters out early, you're going to put the Mets in a tough position, and manager Carlos Mendoza is not going to treat this series like the World Series. He's going to treat this series like any other series, and that's how these players are probably going to look at it. They're going to have a little bit more competitive edge, I'm sure, and there's a little more buzz, but at the end of the day, this is more about the fans than it is the players. I don't think a single player is going to look back and say, I can't believe we lost 2 or 3 to the Mets, or I can't believe we lost 2 or 3 to the Yankees. We're a joke. They're going to go, that sucked. That blows. All right, on to Boston. And then for the Yankees, all right, on to, I think, Colorado. Los Angeles. They host the Texas Rangers. So my point is, Mendoza, you want to make Mendoza make tough bullpen decisions. And with Griffin Canning, a guy who's not going to go deep into games or has not shown the ability to, he automatically you already have to think your bullpen has to cover 3 to 4 innings when Canning pitches. It, again, puts all the pressure in the world of the New York Yankees to try and limit McGill to 5 innings and do the same for Canning, because then the Mets will have to get 8 innings out of their bullpen in 2 days, knowing they've got to play Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's a really tough spot to put a team in. So that is another guy who is not going to pitch deep into games. Canning, a little bit worse against lefties and righties, but his changeup is so good that I don't even really feel comfortable saying that. He's pretty even split. If you're the Yankees, you've got to find a way to do damage, or at least chase him by the 6th. Moving on to the final game, it's Max Fried versus David Peterson. David Peterson, I thought, if you look at last year, I thought it was very impressive. The underlying metrics did suggest there would be some form of regression for Peterson, but this year, he has remained an effective starting pitcher. A 3.05 ERA, a 3.55 FIP. He has a 22.3% strikeout rate, an 8.3% walk rate, and a 55.8% ground ball rate. Not going to kill you with swings and misses, but he's going to keep the ball on the ground, and he's going to just infuriate you with the amount of double plays you'll hit into with this guy. His command has gotten better. He's got a really deep repertoire: sinker, four-seam slider, changeup, curveball. They're all effective pitches when he locates them properly. They're not going to pop in stuff models, and he's not someone who's going to pop in stuff models, but he is someone who's shown an ability to this point to overperform his peripherals. I am very impressed with the pitcher that Peterson's become in the big leagues. The Mets can really have really become a very strong pitching development organization, and they deserve their flowers on this. And Peterson is someone who can pitch deeper into games. Peterson, you can expect to see 6 innings of David Peterson, even if he's getting hit around early in the first. And I think this is what kind of separates him from, what I thought he was last year. He has done a really good job of just mopping up innings. Even in games where the opposing offense has kind of gotten to him or has done some damage against him, he has displayed an ability to overcome adversity and find ways to pitch deep into games and give the Mets a competitive start. He has not allowed more than 3 earned runs in a start all season, and he's only allowed more than 2 earned runs in a start once. That came against the St. Louis Cardinals, and in that outing, he had 9 strikeouts, no walks, no home runs allowed. You could argue he got pretty unlucky. Now, he does allow some hard contact, and if you do barrel him up, he will give up the long ball. Like, that is something that can happen. And he does have his struggles against right-handed hitting. Paul Goldschmidt is the guy you look at and say, I need Goldschmidt, I need Judge to do some damage here. I need these 2 guys to leave the yard. Surprisingly, the Yankees have the best offense against left-handed pitching in baseball this year, which I didn't think they would be. Like, if you ask me, I had kind of said this religiously to start the year. I don't think they can hit lefties. This year, 150 WRC plus, that's tops in baseball. 517 slug, tops in baseball. 239 ISO, that's behind only the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Yankees have a really good offense against lefties, and a big reason for that is because Austin Wells hit lefties this year. Aaron Judge murders lefties. Paul Goldschmidt murders lefties. Anthony Volpe kills lefties. Bellinger's done well against lefties. Grisham's done well against lefties. And even Ascara's had some pretty good at-bats against them. So across the lineup, they have guys who can handle left-handed pitching. And Vivas, even for some reason, has like decent numbers against lefties, which I was a little bit stunned to see. But ultimately, the Yankees should be able to put up competitive at-bats against David Peterson if their offense is on. But I want to say this for all three of the pitchers in the Mets series. I expect them to be relatively effective. Like, they have been really good all year. I don't really see them slowing down right now. I think the Yankees present a unique challenge for this pitching staff, but I expect the Mets rotation to look like the Mets rotation that it has all year. I expect them to make it hard for the Yankees to score. Even if you get on base, they're so good at keeping the ball on the ground. They're so good at getting soft contact that they can get you into a double play. You get a guy on, you get two guys on, there's one out, boom, ending over on one sinker. That's the kind of thing the Mets can do to you. Now, can the Yankees take a sinker? Can they take it out of the yard? Maybe. Can the Yankees get, a hold of one of McGill's breaking balls and launch out the yard? Yes. Can they get to David Peterson? Yes. Can they get to Griffin Canning? Yes. They can beat all three of these guys, but I just want to warn you guys, it's not a situation where I'm going to look at the Yankees and say, if you don't have, 5 runs on each of these guys, this is a shame. No, you've got to have good at-bats, good process, try and, again, put the Mets in a position where they've got to use their bullpen. Not because their bullpen's awful, but because you can only use your relievers so much in 3 days, especially when you're playing 3 games in 3 days. So they don't have the off day Monday. Use that to your advantage. Know what you're facing. Know that you can burn. You can say on Sunday, burn it, burn the bullpen. Let's go. Everyone out. Let's go. Everyone's throwing. Everyone's getting up. Everyone's getting involved in this game. You can do that. You can do that Saturday. You can do it Friday. Like, you can burn your bullpen, use the next day as the off day, and then you have another off day on Monday to kind of sit back and bank on. I don't know if Ryan Yarbrough is going to get a start in the next few weeks, but if he isn't, then he's a guy you can kind of use in your back pocket if you have a disaster game or if you're ahead a lot in a game, and try and have him eat innings and maybe save your bullpen if you need to. So the Yankees have a little bit more bullpen versatility in this game. If you ask me for a prediction, I don't think either team is sweeping. I would be stunned if the Yankees swept. I would be a little less stunned if the Mets swept, just because of how good they are against lefties. And I will also say this. I think these two offenses are going to, they're going to have one of these, in at least one of these games, I expect a big offensive showing. So both of these teams' ERAs are not going to be as pretty as they were coming in, most likely. Especially the bullpen. I think both bullpens are going to have, you're going to see some games where, you're going to have some heart attacks on both sides. And that's because neither bullpen is particularly deep right now. Both bullpens are dealing with injuries right now. Both bullpens have, shaky dudes where you're like, oh, I don't really trust them right now. So, yeah, I think that we're going to be seeing a pretty fun and pretty chaotic series. And it's good for baseball. Look, it's a good series for baseball. It's a good series for New York. I know that a lot of New Yorkers are going to be there hoping for one shared goal of the Knicks beating the Celtics, and it'll be really funny to see Yankee Stadium if the Knicks beat the Celtics, because every single New Yorker there will be rooting for the same basketball team. And I think that as a Knicks fan who loves the Yankees more than the Knicks, I would take the Yankees losing tonight for the Knicks to win. And I think that most Mets fans and Yankee fans who are Knicks fans feel the same way. So I think that'll be pretty funny to witness at the stadium if you're going, or if you're even watching on the broadcast. But now I wanted to get into the final segment here. Now that we finished previewing the series, and again, these are two really, really, really good teams, the best teams in the American League East and the National League East thus far. Let's try and build a Mets-Yankees roster. I did not stick to the rules that Andy Martino uses, which is he does not let guys change positions. So if you're a right fielder, you play right field. If you're a left fielder, you play left field. No switching and swapping, because he believes it makes for a less fun thought experiment. I get the idea. I do want to be able to move my outfielders around, though, because I'm simply not having Judge or Soto. I want both. And in this Yankees-Mets lineup, I have Austin Wells playing catcher, Pete Alonso playing first. I did include guys in the IL, so Jazz Chisholm's playing second. Mark Vientos is playing third, Francisco Lindor at shortstop, Juan Soto in left, Trent Grisham in center, Aaron Judge in right, and Ben Rice at DH. In the rotation, I've got Max Fried, Kodai Senga, Clay Holmes, Carlos Rodon, Griffin Canning, and in the bullpen, it's 4 Mets and 4 Yankees. Luke Weaver, Fernando Cruz, Mark Laird Jr., and Tim Hill as the, lone lefty in this group, with Reen Stanek, Edwin Diaz, Huascar Brazoban, and Reed Garrett for the Mets. Funnily enough, this comes out to 13 Mets and, this comes out to an even amount of Yankees and Mets in the starting lineup and in the rotation and bullpen combined. If you want to look at benches, I will take Luis Torrens, or if you wanted to look at benches and you didn't want to use starting players, I think Luis Torrens is the better fit as the backup catcher here. But I'm going to include starting players, so on my bench, I want Francisco Alvarez. I want someone like Anthony Volpe off the bench as well, because he's been very productive and he's a good defensive player. He can play second, third, short. As my 4th outfielder, I am carrying Brandon Nimmo, because he would start if Trent Grisham wasn't on an insane heater. And then as my final bench spot, I just took the best player remaining, and that was Paul Goldschmidt. So I guess that comes out to it's 2 bench Mets and 2 bench Yankees. So yeah, that's 26 players. That is 13 Mets, 13 Yankees. Again, I think that's a really damn good team. This team probably wins like 130 games. Like, straight up, I know people go, would this team go 162-0? And the answer is obviously no. But this team probably wins like 120 games. Like, this team sets the win record. This is one of the greatest teams I've ever seen assembled. And it's just a great reflection of the talent in New York. There's so much talent on both these 2 teams. These are 2 really good teams. I expect them to be in the postseason this year. Don't let, if you're a Met fan or a Yankee fan, if you drop 2 or 3 in this series, you're still a good team. Like, it would take, I think, like a historic sweep for me to feel like really, really bad about the Yankees after the series. If they drop 2 or 3, I'll say they played a really good team and they lost 2 or 3. It's what it is. If they beat the Mets, I'm not going to go, it's a New York, the New York Yankees, they beat the Mets. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, I mean, it's beating the Mets. Like, they're not in the American League East. It is what it is. It's cool for bragging rights. I've got some Mets fan buddies who I'd prefer not to have them make fun of me this weekend. But outside of that, like, it is what it is. So, with that being said, really appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out Fireside Yankees. If you're excited for the Subway Series, make sure to leave a comment below. I will say my thoughts on rivalry weekend. Why aren't the Yankees and Red Sox playing? It's rivalry weekend. Why the hell are they not playing? Why are the Phillies playing the Pirates? Who cares about the Phillies and Pirates? It should have been Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies, Mets. You can do a whole geographical thing for a second rivalry weekend. You definitely should not make one rivalry weekend where the New York Yankees don't play the Boston Red Sox. That's my rant on that. But again, if you guys are pumped about this series, let me know in the comments below. If you're going, let me know in the comments below. Sam will be there on Sunday. For those who are going Sunday, we will not be attending Friday or Saturday. I will not be going to this series. I have some familial events, something really, really important that I just have to attend this more than I have to care about the Yankees and Mets, unfortunately. And if you enjoyed today's video, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and check out Fireside Yankees on all of your favorite social media platforms. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Let's go Yankees. And let's go Knicks.
Perfect.